Hello, and welcome to another day of English 2. I'm your online teacher, Miss Bear. As a reminder, we are working on a national writing project argument on lab-grown meat. We have read all of the articles we're going to read. We have layered our writing, and we have put together a lot of information. You should have pages and pages of your thoughts about lab-grown meat. And as a reminder, this is just the same graphic I've been using about National Writing Project. If you or anyone that you know is interested in National Writing Project, go explore their website. See if there's things that are interesting to you. Today, we are going to be looking at drafting a claim. How do you stake a claim in something? What do you do and how do you express that? What is a claim? And so we're going to dig into that today. So get your pencils and paper ready and let's get prepared to write your claim. Now, reminder, yesterday we talked about writing a claim without having a question. Sometimes you have to come up with the question yourself. So before we dig into how to write a claim, let's look at some of the thoughts and ideas that you have about this article, about this topic of lab-grown meat. So maybe you want to approach it as an ethical standpoint. Maybe you say that it is unethical to continue with the regular way or the way we have been using farmland to raise cattle or pigs or goats or whatever, chickens. Maybe you think that the idea of lab-grown meat is a great idea for the purpose of sustainability, and so you want to make that argument. Whatever topic or thought that you have, you just have to make sure that you have enough evidence in the articles to support your position. And so I want you to think about that as we walk through and work through how to draft a claim. So let's get started. So a claim is a position that can be argued. Strong claims are compelling, debatable, and defensible. So they create interest, they can be supported with reliable evidence, and it's not a fact. You cannot say for a fact that lab-grown meat is better than plant-based meat. That's an opinion. And that's okay, you can do that, but you can't state a fact. And the facts would be that 98% of the world's population will be more than the meat producers can produce in X number of years. That's a fact that is supported by data, so be careful that your claim does not have factual data. It's something that can be argued, okay? Next, let's look at strong claims are compelling, debatable, and defensible. Some key characteristics of a strong claim is it identifies the writer's stance or position on a topic. It's clear and specific, and it shows the direction of the writer's thinking. It may use an umbrella term that relates to the major points to be made instead of listing all of your evidence. So think about that. Avoid terms such as I think or I feel. If you're writing it, it's obviously your thought. All right? Now let's look at how we make claims stronger. Instead of saying I think reality TV is good, why is it good? We can't argue against the statement. It's a fact that you like it. So an idea that you could try is the popularity of reality TV proves that it meets the audience's needs. Now, you can come up with your evidence to support that better than you can find evidence that you think reality TV is good. The next one is reality TV is fake. Well, how is it fake? Why is it fake? It's a common complaint and flunks the idea that it's compelling. So you want to go, so what? It's fake, but it's entertaining, right? So Instead of reality TV is fake, maybe you try because reality TV is fake, its lessons are not always real. We should therefore limit children's exposure to it. All right, that's a much better claim. Next, they give the idea of you won't catch me watching reality TV because of stereotyping. Okay. Again, it doesn't pass the so what argument. So you want to go beyond yourself and make it debatable. So an idea that you might put out there is viewers should avoid reality TV because it promotes stereotyping. Do you see how that works? So we talked about reality television and how to make these claims stronger. Now let's look at another way that you can make your claim a little bit stronger. The strongest claims are often nuanced. What does the word nuanced mean? Nuanced means it's complex. It may have this idea of being beyond the scope of just what you can provide in your head. Nuanced claims are more complex because they acknowledge other people's perspectives on the topic. So a great, strong, nuanced claim would be, although driving has been considered a rite of passage, recent studies challenge the notion that age alone is a reliable measure of driving readiness. That's almost an entire argument by itself, right? It's compelling, it's nuanced. There are lots of different ways that you can provide evidence to support that claim. So always when you think about a claim, think about the evidence that you would need to provide to support that claim. It needs to pass the so what, nobody cares about that idea, right? So make sure that when you say what your claim is, somebody can't go, okay, and? Because then you know it's not a strong claim and it's not a nuanced claim because nobody even cares. Make sure that whatever your claim is, somebody will care about what it is that you're writing about. And when I mean somebody, somebody beyond yourself, because you go like, I care about it. Well, you're not enough. Your papers, you write a paper because you want somebody else to read your thoughts and to agree with you. So how do you convince that person that your side is the right side to be on? So think about that. All right, there are three different types of claims. You have a factual claim, you have a valued claim, and you have a policy claim. So a fact claim is a statement about how things were in the past, how they are in the present, or how they will be in the future. So I know we already talked about you can't put facts in a claim, but a fact claim is not a fact. It only claims to be a fact. So how do you make that possible? So what makes it arguable is that the speaker has no direct way of establishing the truth of the claim. It's only supported by the evidence that is put out. So it's kind of like the argument going back to the chocolate pie is the best pie for Thanksgiving. It's not a fact, but it can be supported with evidence even though it's not a fact. It may be the best pie, and I can provide evidence that it's the best pie, but it's not a fact. I'm just stating it as a fact. Okay? The next one again is that value claim. It makes a judgment. And just like other claims need to evaluate the evidence and assumptions of supporting such claims. Value claims try to prove that some idea, action, or condition is good or bad, right or wrong, worthwhile or worthless. So either of these two will work for this idea of lab-grown meat. You can put a fact out there that is not necessarily a fact, but to you, it is a fact, right? You can put a value judgment out there that, that there's some piece of whether it's right or it's wrong to do, to produce cell-based meat in a lab versus the slaughterhouses, right? So you may argue about slaughterhouses are unethical, and that's okay. That's a value claim, right? The last one is a policy claim. You're looking at an essay that consists of an argument that conditions should exist. These essays advocate adoption of policies or courses of action because problems have arisen that call for a solution. So back years and years ago, there was no policy about how animals are slaughtered and the ethical ways in which meat is brought to the table. And so because of that, the U.S. Department of Agriculture came to be. And now the USDA looks at everything that comes through as far as anything we consume, as far as putting our bodies to eat. The USDA approves those ideas because in the past there were some issues. And so you look at those policy changes. There's lots of different ideas for policy when it comes to the idea of lab-grown meat. Some of those have been expressed in the articles that we've read. So, there is an argument in one of those articles that says that it shouldn't be called meat, right? That only meat should be called meat. So anything that's plant-based can't be called a meat alternative. It has to be called, I don't know, let's call it a remote. I mean, obviously you can't call it a remote, but at some point somebody had to name this object. And so what would you name the object of cell-based meat if you couldn't use the word meat? So think about that. And so there maybe you're going to propose a policy change. So think about those different types of claims when you get ready to write your claim about lab-grown meat. Next, let's look at making those claims stronger. So I want you now to brainstorm a list for the topic that we're studying. So make sure that each one is a claim. It takes a position rather than just facts or research finding from the article. You're going to test to make sure that the claim is debatable, defensible, compelling, specific, or other directed. And then you're going to check the list on the right of refining the claim to make sure there are options for a variety of opinions. So in your classroom, maybe with a partner, maybe with a group, make a list of claims for the topic that we're studying. And then you're going to work within your group or your partner or however your teacher wants you guys to do this. And you're going to make that claim stronger, and you're going to refine that claim. So think about those things, and then we will come back together as soon as you've had an opportunity to do these things. All right, let's look at some of your ideas. So how do you make your claim nuanced? So test to see whether you can refine the claim by acknowledging an opposing position or limiting the claim to particular situations or audiences. So take the claims that you guys have done in groups and test them to see if they are refinable. So let me go back to refining our claims. Look over here on the right side of the board. There are frames that you can use that acknowledge the opposition or they limit the claim. So think about that's going to be your counterclaim, and all of your claims should have a counterclaim. Just because pumpkin pie is often served at Thanksgiving dinner, chocolate pie is the favored among everyone at my dinner table. So you think about those ways that you can look, you acknowledge that counterclaim that, hey, pumpkin pies are out there, but that doesn't mean that they're the best, right? So go with that. Think about how can you refine your claim. I want you to continue working on your claim. So I'm gonna end today's session with the thought that you've worked with a group, you've come up with a claim, you've made that claim nuanced, and you've revised that claim. And now I want you to either take that claim and begin kind of thinking about that and make it nuanced for your side of the argument, or develop your own claim based on the ideas that I shared with you today. So until tomorrow, happy reading and happy writing.